Alright kids, as you already know, my favorite movie of all time is Rocky. Now to anyone watching this expecting to see perspectives on blackness or promotion of blackness, for one, hold on. You read the title of this video, you know what this is going to be about. Two, don't leave. Even my kids have to watch this or at least hear me talk about it. You can too. Today we're going to talk about the greatest black movie character of all time. You know the name.
Please don't recite your twisted version of
So, there were these space dudes and they were all up in the Apollo Creed spaceship.
You show me a white man you trust, and I will show you a black man that I trust even more.
Jesus.
Apollo Creed.
With all due respect to other great black characters, their movies and moments like Morpheus, T'Challa, Red Redding, Foxy Brown, and hey, Tiana was the first black Disney princess. But Apollo Creed danced with James Brown. For a movie franchise that almost didn't get made to begin with, yet inspires so many and features noticeable continuity errors, one of the underrated things that Rocky excels at, to me, besides training montages, was somehow creating the greatest black character in movie history. Apollo Creed's story arc is dope, especially when you include the Creed films. But Apollo was more than that. All races, socioeconomic statuses, and education levels could agree and aspire to the level of success that Apollo had. He was rich, famous, talented, intelligent, a good-looking dude who was charming and a great husband and father in his own right. Black excellence. Creed was played by the legendary Carl Weathers, who was previously an ex-linebacker with the Raiders. Rocky was his first major role and big break. Stallone was inspired to create Rocky, the Academy Award winner for Best Picture of 1976, after watching Chuck Wepner almost go the distance with Muhammad Ali in the spring of 1975. Ali knocked Chuck out in the 15th round, and although Chuck was a huge underdog, he actually kind of knocked Ali down in the 9th. But Stallone based the character of Apollo Creed on Ali, and you can see it in his fighting style, his charisma, and even his poems. My dude had bars.
Well, I've been with the best, and I beat the best. I've retired more men than Social Security.
I'm not a movie critic, so I wanted to use a resource to inform why I think Apollo is the greatest movie character whatsoever. And since Apollo is the antagonist, I considered this masterclass article with tips for writing a great villain, in this case, for a screenplay. But of the top 5 tips included strong connection to the hero, clear morality, worthy opponent, compelling backstory, and villains should be fun. Apollo has like 3.5. So I wondered if Apollo was even a bad guy or a poorly written one. I mean, Apollo was the one who gave Rocky his one shot, one opportunity to be everything he ever wanted, and it was Rocky's job to capture it and not let it slip. So there's the connection to the hero and how it starts. And yes, that shot came from Apollo's own self-interest with his promotion in mind. Next, and of course, Apollo is a worthy opponent. It's Rocky who isn't really worthy. As for compelling backstory, well, we don't know much about Apollo besides being the undefeated, undisputed heavyweight champ of the world. He knocked out all 47 opponents before the first Rocky movie. It's kind of all we need to know. And sure, Apollo was an arrogant jerk who didn't train as hard as he should have in his first fight with Rocky. And he talked smack. And that's kind of what made him fun, though. Peep the costume and the entrance to the ring, too. So I'm thinking Apollo Creed is more of a rival than a villain. Certainly not an anti-hero, though. Anyway, Apollo won the first fight in a split decision. While he didn't knock Rocky out, it proved to be what the Italian stallion wanted, to go the distance with the champ, and prove he belongs. By the end of the movie, both boxers agreed that there wouldn't be a rematch. Rocky 2 opens in the hospital after the fight with Apollo reneging on what he just said. He thought Rocky was lucky to go the distance with him because nobody goes the distance with him. So he wants a second fight. Later, he admits to Rocky, who asked, that he gave him his best. Apollo didn't take him lightly. Afterward, this is where Apollo gets all mean.
You think I beat him the last time? Do you? You got the decision. Man, I won, but I didn't beat him.
Fans and media told him that he didn't actually win the fight and had the final round, which is supposed to be 3 minutes, but if you time it in real life, it's like just over 1 minute. But had it gone 15 seconds longer, Rocky would have won. This idea shakes Apollo professionally and personally. There's a scene where he reads fan mail out loud to his wife from people accusing him of throwing a fight from atop his lofted hallway in his mansion. And she's like, "How about you go play with your kids?" And he gets upset. Apollo wants to show the world that he steals that deal and Rocky's endurance was a fluke. And we can understand how a prideful, egomaniacal athlete would do what it takes to prove a point. This is as villainous as he gets. We see athletes and even entertainers do this all the time. And at this time, Rocky was just trying to live his own life and move on from boxing himself, but struggling to do so for a number of reasons that I won't get into. This is about Apollo Creed. Rocky's had enough attention. So, in order to coerce Rocky to fight him again, Apollo targets Rocky's reputation in his own city, which works. Rocky agrees to the fight. No jokes this time from Creed leading to the fight. No limericks or rhymes, just that business, boss. In the Fight of the Century Part 2, Apollo gives Rocky that work. He beats him down for 14 rounds, but doesn't knock him out. In the final round, refusing to stay away from Rocky and winning outright on points in a unanimous decision, he wants to put Rocky down. Rocky endures and wins by 1 second after they both go down, and Rocky gets up on the 9 count. But a win is still a win, whether it's by an inch or a mile. I don't have friends, I have family. Notice how Apollo graciously hands Rocky the belt. Before I continue, I know this is fictional. I know. But how did this Cadillac of men, 6 foot 2 inch, 220 pounds, Apollo Creed, technically lose to Rocky twice? They're not even in the same weight class. Sylvester Stallone is 5'8", 185. He's a light heavyweight at best. Moving on, Rocky III saw Apollo, now retired, making an appearance as a color commentator when Rocky was defending his title against Clubber Lang. Apollo jokes that he knows how hard Rocky can hit. A little humility. Before watching Rocky get destroyed by this newcomer played by Mr. T, who was disrespectful to Apollo and had called him a has-been. After the fight, Apollo reaches out to Rocky in order to train him for a rematch so he can get the eye of the tiger again and win his belt back. Rocky accepts the offer reluctantly and they go from foes to friends. Apollo frequently reminds Rocky,
And you can owe me a big favor.
What favor?
Apollo joins Rocky in training montages. He teaches him how to box like a colored fighter. And part of all this is to shut Clubber up, sure. And Apollo spars with Rocky, seemingly as an excuse to punch him, foreshadowing. And Apollo even allows Rocky to wear the trunks he wore in their first fight. Rocky gets revenge, becomes the world heavyweight champion again, all is made right. And as it turns out, the favor was a friendly sparring session between the two of them. No press, no cameras. And we don't get to see the fight and we don't know who won. But would a villain do all of this for petty reasons? Yes, he would. I'm looking at you, Clear Morality from the Masterclass list. This takes us to Rocky IV. Okay, y'all, I've gone this far without even mentioning any racism, direct or implied. And it's there. For instance, in real life, Philadelphia erected a statue of a fictional Rocky instead of the very real Joe Frazier. I know Rocky III made the statue for the steps of that art museum. I do. Which I mean to tell me that Rocky is so much better than Big Homie that Ivan Drago killed Apollo inside of 2 rounds and Rocky somehow goes the distance with all of Russia and beats the USSR? The Italian stallion ended the Cold War. That don't sit right with my spirit. I know Apollo was 43 years old in Rocky IV and coming off of a 5-year hiatus. Looking like this, by the way, when he faced off against Drago. But is this how black people are living in America? Around 30 years later, with Black Panther and Fruitvale Station's Ryan Coogler writing and directing Creed, we get pretty much the only black eye on the visage of the glory that could veil Apollo's greatness. Before he died, Apollo Creed had an affair fathering a baby boy, Adonis Johnson Creed. Following his father's footsteps but trying to step out of his father's shadow, Donnie sought Rocky's help to train him. He fights great and is a great fighter. While doing so, Rocky confirmed that not only was Apollo the greatest, but it was ultimately time that beat Creed. Time is undefeated. That's how Rocky beat Apollo. In addition to an insane amount of determination from Rocky and aided by Creed's own foolish pride, but when he lost to Rocky, Apollo was 38. We see real athletes struggle in their late 30s all the time. Again, take the L. Now, when Donnie, inquisitive about his father whom he never met, asked who won their rumored third fight, Rocky said, Apollo did, reaffirming his greatness, redeeming him. There are online forums that ranks Apollo Creed pretty high on the black character list, but not number 1. Don't pay attention to them. Look here, look at me. Recently, Stallone said that he regrets killing off Apollo Creed, the greatest black movie character of all time. So, I'll leave you with these words.
There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
We gonna be all right.